Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. Girlfriends, lovelies, it's Wednesday. You know what that means? Wise Women's Wednesday, and we are all over today. You're here. So that just goes to prove that there are wise women in the house. I see Catherine, Doris, and Jocelyn so far. Deborah, you're there too. Lovely to have you here. I'm really totally excited about today's show. I did kind of a deep dive into this whole subject of what is wisdom anyway, right? What is it? And interestingly enough, well, you'll see. I'm going to tell you all about it because there's some really interesting components to wisdom, and we're going to unpack them today. This would be a good day to go to savingdinner.com and just say, oh, I want the newsletter, because tomorrow's show notes are going to be fire. You're going to want them. Now, I've spoken about this for 2 days. The Leptafix, buy 3, get 1 free. That is our supplement of the week. If you do this, you're going to have a year's supply of leptin. Come on. A year's supply of Leptafix. We get our leptin broken, which is the most, in my opinion, the most important hunger hormone. If you don't want to be hungry all the time, I don't want to be hungry all the time. If you want to be in control of your appetite, of starting and stopping when you want to, then you need to have leptin on point. Here's the thing, your leptin breaks, unfortunately, as you start to lose fat. Leptin is a hormone. It lives in your fat, unfortunately. So isn't that just kind of, I don't understand. I feel like saying, maybe when I go to heaven, I'm going to say to God, hey, why'd you do that? I don't get that. I mean, hey, this doesn't make any sense to me. I want a reward when I lose, fat, and I don't want to be whacked upside the head with, now you're really hungry. But we can fix that. There's certain nutrients that fix and repair leptin, right? It's everything. Leptafix is it. You can find this at savingdinner.com/show. 1 year supply. That's an awesome deal. All you have to do is click the link too. You don't have to do anything crazy because it will put 4 in your cart and only charge you for 3. So I'm just letting you know. savingdinner.com/show. Alice, Kathy, hello. I'm glad you're here. So that is what's going on. You can, at any time, you can say, you know what? I know I need a little more protein. I mean, if you're reading anything lately, the research is coming out all over the place about the importance of protein for postmenopausal women. Well, that would include menopausal women and perimenopausal women too. Have you noticed you feel better when you eat more protein? Well, the Ultimate Sprint will take you there and show you how to do this. We got our own philosophy on this and our own spin and our own research. And I am pretty proud of this. So check it out at savingdinner.com/US, like USA, only US. We did end our first challenge that we did with this, but why not get started now? That's what I say. That's what I say, always. What else do I have to tell you? Oh, the quote of the week. It's from me. Apparently I said this probably during something, I don't know, but it got written down and got put in our quotes, and here it is. You don't have to feel like it, you just have to do it. That is just isn't it, that is the honest to God truth, is it not? How many times have we not wanted to do something, not done it, felt guilty, felt the pressure, and then brushed it off the next day, and then we start all over, shampoo, rinse, repeat? I want to save you from that. We don't have to do that anymore. We can buck our amygdalas and go right to the prefrontal cortex, the big money maker, the decision maker in your head that says, this is important, this is a goal. That takes priority over what you feel like doing. It's everything. So, with all of our wise women here, I have to say cheers. Here is to you, Mother Hen. We're missing you. And here's to all of you who are here. Make sure you hydrate. It's one of the keys to feeling really good, by the way. So, did you know that wisdom is very complex and it's a multifaceted concept and theory, etc.? And it's been studied across several disciplines. I mean, you can spiritually, psychologically, neuroscientifically. It's been studied philosophically as well. And every discipline, if you will, has kind of a component that touches on this idea of wisdom, every single one of them. And today, what we're going to do is take a look at 10 of these things and how we can bring those into our lives so that we can live as the wise women that we're called to be. Because being wise is also living vibrantly, is it not? Of course it is. It is also living vibrantly. And all of these things at one time or another, we've spoken about right here on this show, or we've spoken about them in our conferences, our Full Bloom conferences. But today we get to gather all these little goodies together and put them in one big juicy basket and serve them up fresh, like popping fresh rolls or something. I don't know. The first thing we have to look at is how we manage our emotions. You know, our emotions can be such a crapshoot at times, can't they? Sometimes they come out of nowhere. And sometimes we're looking at it and going, well, what's that all about? You know, I've had a little thing. I mean, my daughter cheered me up a whole lot yesterday. I had some time with her yesterday when she came over and we shot some new images, by the way. You'll see them all out there on the website. But, you know, you can start feeling blue and you're going, what the heck is going, why am I just a little bit off? What is not quite right? And why am I feeling like this? I told Mark the other day, I'm feeling crabby today. He goes, oh, should I just stay out of your way? And I said, probably, yeah. But I'm just, you kind of get in touch with your emotions and you know what's going on. You can pre-warn people, by the way. And you can also understand them a little bit better because in order to regulate or manage your emotions, you kind of have to understand what's going on so that you're able to manage them. Why am I feeling a little bit off? What's going on with me? And ask yourself questions. That's the why matrix, right? And why am I feeling like this? What's going on with me? Have I been eating right? Am I sleeping enough? Am I under-exercised, over-exercised? What's going on? Dehydrated even. Start asking this. Is there a glitch in a relationship that I have? But when we can start thinking about our emotions instead of just allowing them to happen and allowing them to take us on this free ride all over the place, we start to realize that we also have the power over our tongues and what we're going to say and what we're not going to say, and what we're going to process and what we're going to say. This doesn't make any sense for me. I'm just going to dump this. That's what happens. And this gets stronger, by the way. That's your prefrontal cortex. That's where we do all the complex thinking. That's where our abstract thinking comes. That's where we can delineate what is what. So when you're in that kind of a place, just remember that you do have this power to manage and regulate your emotions. That's number one. And it's really important. And, and by the way, one of the ways that you can really become aware of this and start noticing this more is by practicing mindful meditations on a daily basis. Engage with a little self-reflection and start journaling things down. Have you heard all this before? I know you have. And also seek support from your friends and your family, whoever's appropriate, by the way. Oftentimes we seek support from people that aren't going to give us what it is that we need. Think about that. Make sure that you're seeking the ones that you need. And if you need to, obviously, go outside of your circle maybe and find a counselor if that's what's necessary. But just being aware is going to be step one in the right direction. Hi, Linda and Maureen. Number two is reflective thinking. You know about this. We can reflect on our past so that we can learn from that. What do we call that here? We call it the experience file, is what we call it. Because the experience file will give us the lessons without having to live it all over again. I just want the lessons extrapolated from that experience. That's it. Because when we do that, we learn and we move on. And it gives us an opportunity to develop, to be wise, and to go beyond and not repeat like on, Groundhog Day, like on days on end with it on repeat. We want to go beyond. We want to have a finished chapter. And this is why the experience file is just absolutely crucial and necessary. Number 3 is empathy and compassion. It's so interesting how people are. I had a quote. I think I've shared this with you on my Facebook about being empathetic. And somebody that I knew came back and said, oh, well, I can't possibly be empathetic with somebody like this because I don't know what that feels like. Missing totally the idea of what empathy is. Empathy is the ability to walk side by side with somebody, even though you don't understand what it is. It's the ability to walk outside of yourself and just be there as a warm being for this person who needs someone with skin on them. That is what empathy is. It's beyond what our normal would be. It's beyond the knee-jerk stuff of wanting to offer advice and just telling them they'll get over it, or slap a Bible verse on it and just dismiss something. It's not that at all. It is not that at all. And I will tell you that when we do this and when we practice empathy, we are opening ourselves for more love, but not only to give more love, but also to receive more love, also to give more understanding and to get it back. It's a reciprocal thing. The other thing is we obviously it's an act of kindness. It's a practice. It's difficult sometimes to button your lip and just be there, isn't it? It is. There's our Sandy and Denise, by the way. But I will tell you this. This is the thing that I know that I think is just so crucial with all of this. And it's one of the steps into empathy, by the way, is when you deign to take someone else's perspective and think to yourself, why would they feel like that? When you're thinking, well, it's really obvious, this blah, 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 blah is going on. But empathy allows us to step back and to step into where they are. I shared a story with you a while back that really made me understand perspective. And it was Mark and I, and it was 2019. We were in a rental house. We just moved to Brevard, and we're standing outside looking out, and we had a beautiful view. And you could hear the pileated woodpeckers. They sound, Marla always calls them jungle birds. They do. They have that jungle bird sound. Well, I'm not a very good pileated imitator, but you get it. They're out there making all that noise. And I see it clearly. Mark and I are standing side by side. I see it and I go, oh, there it is. There he is. 12 o'clock. At 12 o'clock. Mark says, I don't see him. I don't see him. And I was saying, 12 o'clock, right there, right there. And we kept going back and forth. I said, he's still there. Why can't you see him? And then it occurred to me, I'm 5'7", Mark is 6'1". And so I grabbed him and I pulled him down and I brought him to where I was. And I said, see, right there, see him right there. And he saw him. But it was only when he was at my perspective that he had the ability to see. We have the ability to see all the pileated woodpeckers in our lives if we will just duck down and take and stand in someone else's shoes. Not only will it make us empathetic, but it will also allow us to see from their perspective what the heck is going on. Fills us with love, fills us with wisdom. Number 4 is humility. Boom! Humility. Hi, Jackie. I'm so glad to see you. You know, humility, it's a tough assignment, isn't it? It's a really tough assignment. But, you know, I want you to just pinkies up. If you acknowledge the fact that you have limitations, do you? I know I do. Double pinkies up, you know? Limitations, massive limitations. We all do. And we all see things through a glass darkly. Ever hear that one before? But our humility is developed by asking for honest feedback or else receiving honest feedback. It doesn't mean that we're opening ourselves up to be relentlessly criticized. But if somebody comes to you and says, hey, I don't know about this, or I was a little hurt when you XYZ'd, are you open to that kind of maybe correction and taking a look at what maybe there was something you didn't see? When we are so quick to fire off and so quick to get into the knee-jerk stuff, we miss an opportunity for our own personal growth and also for the growth for maybe a relationship. And the love that we can share with one another is built on the back of hurt. Now, hear me on that. How often have you been hurt in your life? A few times? Anybody here managed to get through life unscathed without being hurt even once? No, no, you can't. And the fact is that humility taken in just a little bit of, we don't have to massively overdose on humility, but that little bit of humility helps us to eke out more love for somebody else. It helps us to see and to be empathetic and to be compassionate toward others. It gives us an opportunity to correct our mistakes and to see that maybe we overstepped our bounds or did something that was out of, what we should have done. And all we can do, by the way, is correct, seek an apology and forgiveness. And then the rest of it, well, if they make a decision that they don't want to be in your circle anymore, then that's on them. You've done everything that you can. We can't backtrack. We can't take things back, all of that. You understand that. But one of the things that I know, and I know this is part of wisdom too, is that when we take this type of humility seriously, it also removes envy, and compassion takes its place, because envy really is just a type of anger. And it doesn't celebrate somebody else's success. It makes you kind of angry and resentful about them. And what is that going to do? What is that going to do? It's not going to work. It helps you, in my opinion, to become a true friend, and in turn, develop such a tight friendship and a level up. Not just that surface stuff, but real, true connection, heart to heart. Number 5 is openness. Boy, I'm getting too much into this one. This is getting late. Openness. We've got to be open to new ideas. It isn't just one thing. I remember this one woman, I can't even remember who it was, but I remember she said, I learned that, I will do my own makeup. We were getting ready for TV. I will do my own makeup. I learned how to do makeup from a Mary Kay consultant in the 80s. This is in 2000s, right? Your makeup in the 80s needs to evolve, sister. Things have changed. Learn new things. Encourage open-mindedness with yourself, with your kids, with your family, and engage in maybe a respectful debate. But I'm telling you right now, intellectual curiosity is a gift. It allows you to see things a little bit differently and to ask questions and to learn something new. The way things were, that you sound like an old lady then, right? I remember when, and it was better when it was this, and it was all of that. And you remember hearing that as a kid? Are you doing it now? Let's not do that. Let's be open-minded and let's learn, even from our younger cohorts and children and what have you. There are things for us to learn, and that open-mindedness allows for that. Number 6, this is a tough one, is tolerance for ambiguity. It's true, because we have to accept that some situations and problems have no clear solutions. They have 0 answers. You see things one way, they see things another way, and it's just the way it is. But it's crucial that you practice patience and that you go focus on the process rather than the outcome, right? The outcome isn't being right. The outcome isn't proving the other guy wrong. The outcome is the outcome. And sometimes it's just like, you know what? It's a draw. You feel this way, I feel that way, and it's cool. It's cool. That's just the way it is. Because that otherwise we're jumping to conclusions. And what is that? What is jumping to conclusions? It's knee-jerk reactions. And where does that come from? The most primitive part of your brain, and it's your brainstem, right? I always say the prisons are filled with people who only react instead of think. And when we think with our prefrontal cortex, man, it's going to take a minute to process and work its way up here to where we can think and work things through and look at the complexity of the situation and say something in love and in wisdom instead of throwing somebody down and trying to be right all the time and dismissing them, right? Many a good friendship has been ended like that. It's just not, it doesn't work. Number 7 is that we need good interpersonal skills. Have you thought about your interpersonal skills? Have you? One of the things that I used to think about all the time, I used to think, I do not anymore, but I used to think that I was articulate and outspoken, and in a good way. I always thought that way. But I also recognized that I was not, that I might be articulate, I might be outspoken, but I can be harsh and I can be unwielding. And it's not good, right? So something that's a good trait, like to have, hold and own your voice, is fabulous. But you also need to take a step back and take a look at it. Am I actively listening to someone else or just mowing them over? Am I expressing gratitude and appreciation for this other person or just dismissing that and going straight for what it is that I need or want? We have the ability to develop emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is where empathy comes from, and being compassionate comes from, of course. They're elevated emotions and life skills. And that's what wise women practice on a regular basis. So the other thing is, besides interpersonal skills, is some practical life skills. That's number 8. It involves the ability to navigate the complexities of daily life. Because sometimes daily life throws you into a tailspin, does it not? You know, we personally, I mean, I think all of us do here. We, as wise women, use our Take Back Your Life journals because that way we set goals, and that helps us to unwind our priorities and figure them out so that the complexity of daily life is sorted for us. You know, this is one of the most important things that we can do. Otherwise, we're going to be constantly thrown under the bus by life. When, you know, I can't even tell you how many times as a coach, I've heard, well, I was with you and did this, that, and the other thing, then life got in the way. Life isn't an obstacle, by the way. It's not. Life just happens. What isn't, life doesn't get in the way. Our management of time doesn't get served properly. Is usually the case. There's always emergencies. There's always this. But if you're always looking at this excuse that life just got in the way, oh, there was this, and then there was that, and there was this, you have to ask yourself a question. Am I managing my time wisely? That's what that's all about. Number 9 is your values and your ethics. And a wise woman has a strong moral compass. Amen. And a wise woman also lives in accordance with that moral compass and her values. That's how she rolls. So when you reflect on your core values and your beliefs, and you strive to act ethically at all times, and you're responsible in your daily life, seeing that you're making excuses versus seeing that there's obstacles in your life versus seeing, am I living with my priorities in place? That's when we start to really see that our moral compass is dialed. And number 10, a wise woman does all of this by understanding that her greatest alignment assignment is putting all of this into play. Because putting all of this into play gives her the chance to walk wisely and vibrantly and in full bloom. Because this is what we strive to do. In this chapter of our lives, how much more crucial, how much more critical is it that we are those women? You know, in the Bible, it talks about Titus women. Titus women are examples to the younger women of what it is to be a wise woman. So if we do this, we recognize that wisdom, the beginning of wisdom, right, is knowledge, right? But we also have to take a look that wisdom is built over a lifetime. And when we're coming to this chapter of our lives, we get to start reflecting on some of these things and refining and moving into our priorities and moving into the place of being graceful and loving and empathetic and wise, because this is how this all works. Now, there are different seasons in our lives. My patience with my mother when she was going through where she finally passed, was endless. And I never thought of myself as a patient woman. I thought myself was impatient. I thought it was a real ding. But I had an opportunity to really practice that and to love the whole time. And that's what these situations and these seasons in our lives give us grace to be able to do. So I invite you into these 10 core traits, if you will, for wisdom. See where you are on this whole thing. See where your experience has taken you on this. Be intellectually curious about all of this stuff and allow it to settle in and move into what your life is about. And it's in that point, that tipping point in your life, that we start to live our lives in full bloom, on purpose and for purpose. Yes. All righty. I appreciate you showing up for today. Hi, Debbie, Kathy. People are having all kinds of internet problems. Oh, well, that's the way of the world, isn't it? Thank goodness for replays. I appreciate you all. Don't forget, if you missed any of the announcements, you can go to savingdinner.com/announcements. That's the announcement page where everything I've talked about today is, including the quote of the week, etc. And don't forget, tomorrow is Thirsty Thursday. We'll be wrapping the whole thing up for the week. Be there. Peace be with you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.